So let's talk about one of the obstacles that's emerging to the practice of private medicine, and that's maintenance of certification, or MOC. This is a money-making scheme that is increasingly burdening physicians to an intolerable level. Hours and hours of time, taking physicians away from their patients, thousands of dollars, to take exams that have often no relevance to the practice of medicine, to review charts of physicians, to exercise control over independent physicians in a way that no private organization should be doing. The maintenance of certification groups are making hundreds of millions of dollars. They're paying their executives routinely $700,000 annual salaries to run this maintenance of certification. It has no proven benefit, but it has obvious harms to physicians and to patients. Physicians are starting to get kicked off hospital staffs if they don't comply with this maintenance of certification. There are even efforts to link this to licensure, where physicians would not be able to renew their medical license unless they comply with this maintenance of certification, also known as maintenance of licensure. We have sued to stop this. We brought a lawsuit a couple months ago against the ABMS, American Board of Medical Specialties, which is the umbrella group that sits on top of all these specialty boards, and it has 24 agreements with other specialty groups to impose this MOC on physicians and to put up a website that tells you which physicians have complied with maintenance of certification and which ones haven't. So it's linked to a public advertising campaign to make it appear that doctors who do not jump through these hoops, pay these fees, waste their time on all this nonsense, and somehow they're inferior physicians than physicians who do. An attorney, just to put this in perspective, an attorney's obligation to keep up with certification or whatever basically consists of 12 hours of continuing education requirements a year. 12 hours. Which in most states can be taken by turning on your computer and watching something on the internet. Physicians have to do typically 50 hours of continuing education a year. But that's just the start of it. This maintenance of certification adds hundreds of hours on top of that, and fees, and courses you have to take, and trips you have to go to take the tests. And as Jules pointed out, it's often degrading, the testing. It's a way to exert power over physicians. And it's by unaccountable private organizations. There's no transparency. We don't know if they discriminate. We don't know what their numbers are. They're flunking people in increasing percentages. So you go through all this, you spend the money, the time, et cetera, and then you flunk. And then what do? You have to do it all again. And then maybe you flunk again. And it becomes a huge stress point to a doctor's life. Now, I debated this with some proponents of MOC at a medical college in Philadelphia, University of Pennsylvania, and it was pathetic, really, to see people who actually supported this and listen to their arguments. There's no evidence that this has any help for patient care. And some of the things I pointed out to the people in the audience, many of whom were medical students, as I said, you know, do you really need this extra stress in your life? Physicians, unfortunately, already have, on average, a shorter lifespan than other professions. Do you need this added aggravation and stress? The average physician only has time enough to spend 7 minutes with each patient. 7 minutes. That's what they say is the average for the average physician. I'll get to other issues that cause that. Do you need this distraction? No, of course not. It's purely a money-making scheme. And it's a violation of antitrust laws. It's a ton of misinformation to try to pretend that someone who's certified is a good doctor and someone who isn't is not. We have medical boards. We have medical boards that are accountable to the political process. We have medical boards that have to comply with due process, that have to treat people equally, that have to respect freedom of speech, and so on. These private organizations are accountable to no one. They should not be dictating who can practice and who cannot at hospitals or in health plans and so on. So as we got through the debate, I mean, the audience was overwhelmingly against this MOC. In fact, polls have been taken. The doctors are 90% against MOC. And the people who are in favor of it are people who either profit from it themselves, and there's hundreds of millions of dollars in profit, or they're connected with some of these other medical associations that somehow is deriving some power from this MOC apparatus. So unfortunately, groups like the AMA, they're on the wrong side on this. I mean, somehow they're linked in some way, and it's hard to determine exactly, you know, who's benefiting in which way, how the network is tied in. But lo and behold, when I sued the ABMS and 6 attorneys showed up on the other side to oppose the lawsuit, the lead attorney on the other side was an attorney who's represented the AMA for decades. He's on the other side defending this MOC and trying to stop the lawsuit and trying to stop our discovery. We're going to get in and get discovery and find out what they have in mind for this, how they've been doing this, how they've been getting this into hospital medical staff requirements and so on. And already I've traced that they paid this ABMS group, which is the umbrella group, paid something like $600,000 to a law firm in Newark, New Jersey. It popped up on their Form 990 form, their IRS Form 990, which discloses what their expenditures are, and I raised that with the court. I say, well, they say they don't practice in New Jersey, they don't do any business in Jersey, yet here they're paying $600,000 plus to a Newark, New Jersey law firm. What's that for? And by the way, what this Newark, New Jersey law firm does is it has a relationship with hospitals. And they came back and said, oh, no, what that money was for, that was to help us set up MOC in Singapore. They're going worldwide with this. All the more reason we got to stop this. We're exporting our bad stuff to other countries. Okay, well, it's fun in doing the research and the briefing for this case, and it's pending. So this case, I'll give you updates. If you get our email list, you'll get updates of how things are going. As fun as I was doing briefing, researching articles on MOC, and I get into the Nexus database, which is part of the LexisNexis electronic information system, which is used by most attorneys. It's used by tons of reporters, particularly the Nexus database, which has the news articles. So this is what's used by Capitol Hill staffers and everything to search newspaper articles. And I get in there to search articles on MOC, and I get in there and I saw some articles. This is fantastic, these articles. I can't believe other people are speaking out about this. And I read through it, I'm like, I'm going to use this. This is remarkably clear and insightful about how bad MOC is. And I get to the bottom of it, and it's from the Journal of American Physicians and Surgeons, our own journal. Okay, let me move on to the next topic. We'll have lots of time for questions at the end.